So once again, we want to welcome our guest on this program. You are welcome to the Property Show. This is a program where we try as much as possible to sensitize our people on those very important decisions that they usually make from time to time about the ownership of properties and acquisition of land. As we have said earlier, today we want to be talking about land surveying. So very quickly, we are going to be asking our guest on this program, what is land surveying and who actually are land surveyors?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Land surveying can be defined as the art and science of measuring the size and shape of a portion of the earth's surface, that is the land. Oftentimes it could be water bodies. A surveyor is somebody that has passed through the rudiments of surveying, somebody that has attended the required academic institutions and has obtained the required certificates. A surveyor is somebody that is fully registered with Surveyors Registration Council of Nigeria, which we call SOCON. Before you can become a surveyor, you must have attended a higher institution that is accredited to offer land surveying as a course, either at polytechnic level or university level. And after that, if you wish, you can go to the Federal School of Surveying or elsewhere to do your professional diploma in surveying, after which you now sit for the professional exam, you prepare your folio, you'll be called for interview, you do the written examination, and you will then be, after interview, you'll be certified. Then you'll be given a seal. That's when you call yourself a surveyor. But very worrisome is the problem that we see people parading themselves as surveyors, and these people are quacks. You see them displaying ranging poles in front of their offices, giving people, innocent people, claiming that they are surveyors. To know a surveyor, such person must have a signboard which is designed by Surveyors Council of Nigeria with green background, displaying his name, address, and the registration number. So anybody that doesn't have such in front of his office and in his office is not a surveyor, but coax.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We bring us to another important question that what is the importance of land surveying?
The land survey is the starting point of any development. Before you can venture into any development, either construction, building, roads, or any form of construction or development, you must first demarcate the boundary of your property. You need to know the size of the land on which such development has to take place. And you must know the orientation, the location, and other relevant information. And that confers ownership of such property on you. So ownership of property can only be conferred based on survey plan.
So if that then is the situation, because we realize that a lot of our people are having issues, some of the issues that our people have start, one, by identifying who really is a professional surveyor. You have told us about the basic things to look out for in identifying who a registered surveyor will be. But does this mean that those ones who are not registered are not offering complementary services to the professionals? That's the first question. The second question here is, if they are, why do people need to hire the services of competent professionals?
Thank you very much. Actually, the quacks, they offer complementary services to surveyors in the area of artisanship. We use them to do the labor aspect of the job, which registered surveyor cannot do. There's need to cut line, there's need to hold ranging poles, there's need to carry chains or steel bands, and they need to carry instruments on site. So they play a complementary role. But that doesn't qualify them to be called surveyors. Ownership of property can only be conferred by virtue of having registered title. And you can only have registered title if such plan is prepared by a registered surveyor. It is only a registered surveyor that can prepare a survey plan. So there is no way we can do away with registered surveyors. Those artisans cannot prepare the plan. Even if they go to site to collect data, to do measurement and recording, they have to bring such data to the office of registered surveyor for certification and for preparation of plan. So before such a surveyor prepares the plan, he must ensure that he visits the site, check all the necessary data collected before drawing the plan, and append this signature on the plan. So for you to have a registered title, such title has some information that you need to look for. Okay. About 10, 12 of such information. One, it must have the name of the owner of the property, okay, the location of the property, okay, orientation, that is where it is, I mean the bearing, the coordinates, then the shape of the land, the plan number, size of the land, then the life signature of the registered surveyor that prepares such plan.
What do you mean by life signature?
Yes, that is, such surveyor must append his signature on the plan with pen, okay, aside the stamp, okay, the official stamp or the seal given to such surveyor by Surveyor Council of Nigeria. So those are the vital information that you look for. All these cannot be obtained from quacks, and they dare not prepare land survey plan. So the need for registered surveyor's involvement is inevitable and cannot be overemphasized.
Our people, as we can hear the surveyor talking to us, we need to continue to sensitize ourselves on certain things that are very important. A lot of people have fallen victims of people who are considered as quacks. I have seen instances where family lands in very large expanses have been shared. And what they simply do here is, you will see the family say here that they have cut their own land into plots. Cutting the land into plot, they usually engage the services of people who are considered as quacks. We are not saying that they do not have a service to render, but their services are usually complementing to that of the registered surveyors. What they create for you in the ultimate analysis here is that they create more problem. You hear people say here that, well, the survey that we are doing is the one that will just depict the demarcations of the plot, and we don't necessarily have to prepare, or we don't necessarily have to engage the services of someone who will prepare a record copy survey. What we often realize here is that it results into a lot of disputes. We have seen instances where family factions will engage the services of these quacks, bring them on ground or to site, and they alter whatever may have been a claim that may have been laid to that land. So what are we saying here? We are saying here that the services of surveyors cannot be underestimated. And it is important, because that is the first thing that you have to do in any claim to ownership of properties. And because it is the first thing, it is considered as the foundation. You very well know that the construction or the building or the erection of any property and the solidness of that structure depends largely on the foundation. So the ownership to any land or the ownership to any property in the longer run will largely depend on how well you have been able to procure your survey from the onset. And so what are we saying here is that the salient and basic things that we need to know, we should begin to talk about them. This program, like we usually do, is an interactive program, and we usually ensure that we like to encourage our people. We want to have a feedback from our people. We want to know your worries in the past. What are those things that you have encountered that you consider as unfortunate experiences? Our guest on this program is a pupil surveyor and is a registered town planner. He's been talking to us about the importance and the relevance of land surveying to the society and to our people. And he's been telling us about those basic things to look out in engaging the services of surveyors and how we can ensure that we are taking the right decision in the right direction. So back to our guest. We would like to ask you on this program, how can the surveyor's professional work help in reducing land disputes? Because we realize that in recent times, one of the problems that our people seem to be experiencing, especially in the urban areas, are issues that border around disputes on land ownership or claims to land. And we realize that the claim that people seem to give to land is a function of, one, their family tenure on the land, and usually they say that they have taken another step ahead to engage the services of a surveyor, so to say. And to a large extent, I have seen instances, for example, where we get to the land and we find out that there are beacons that initially had been positioned on that land and which had been removed. And two factions will begin to say here that they have ownership to that land through what they call a survey. So maybe my first question to you should be, can you have two surveys in respect of one land? Can you have two records copy surveys in respect of one particular plot of land?
Definitely it is not possible, except there is mix-up somewhere. Once a survey is drawn, once the plan is drawn by a registered surveyor, it is supposed to be, the document is supposed to be lodged with the ministry.
Okay.
After which, certificate of lodgement should be obtained
Okay.
by the surveyor and given to his client. So that confers ownership of the property to the owner.
So how can there be a mix-up?
Definitely, there's not supposed to be mix-up.
Okay.
Except if such plan is not properly prepared. Once you lodge your survey plan, it will be charted and recorded.
Okay.
So any subsequent plan brought to the ministry will not be considered authentic.
So invariably,
once a particular plan is lodged, there cannot be another one recorded. So any other one prepared after that cannot be a genuine survey, except the first one is not lodged.
So which still confirms the fact that the quacks can actually go behind to prepare another one to favor another one part of the...
If they prepare it, such cannot be signed.
How are pillar numbers? How are they generated?
The pillar numbers, they're also known as beacons.
Beacons.
And they are used to demarcate property boundaries. Once you get to the land, the survey has a process. The process starts with reconnaissance. That is, you visit the site, you walk around the site and see how to carry out the job. After which, you do what we call monumentation. You
Okay.
plant the beacons.
Okay.
After that, you take your observations and measurements. Then you do numbering. That is, you do capping and numbering. So it is not possible for a registered surveyor to uproot a beacon planted by another surveyor. It is illegal and it's an offense punishable. So you cannot see a registered surveyor doing such. But if quacks now do it, such quack is committing illegality.
So my question again here is this. How are beacon numbers generated? Because I have seen instances where illegal beacons have been introduced to plots of land to create some confusion and possible disputes, and they have resulted into disputes. So my question here is this. Have they brought those beacons from another site to that land? Is there a relationship of a beacon number to other existing beacon numbers within that locality? How are they able to introduce?
Thank you. In surveying, there are three orders or three classes of surveying. We have first order, second order, and third order.
Yes.
The first order survey is the type of survey at the national level to do the national boundary,
Okay.
at continental level, and so on. The second order survey is the one that we use at the state level for control, extension, and all the rest.
We were talking about how the quacks are able to generate numbers on those beacons that they have introduced on certain lands to create further disputes. And you were talking about the three orders of survey.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've talked about the first order, second order.
Okay.
Now, the third order is the one that is known to many people, and that is the control or the beacon type that people use for their properties.
Okay.
Now, the beacon numbers are generated from the ministry.
Okay.
The registered surveyor goes to the ministry, applies for the beacon number, pays for the beacon number. Certain numbers are given out at quarterly basis. That's 3 monthly basis. So the surveyor now uses the number on the property or on the job that he has. So it is not easy for a quack to number beacon. One, where can he get the number?
Okay.
How can he generate the number? And for now, any beacon or any pillar that doesn't bear the second number is not authentic.
Okay.
Such number should bear OYSC. Then the serial number of the pillar, then the code of the surveyor, of that registered surveyor must be on it.
Visited some developing areas where you see various beacons, in fact, large expanse map out, and there are no numbers on the beacon. How come? And yet this thing has been sold, people are laying claims to it. You see individual survey plan for such parcel of land.
Thank you, sir. Once beacons are not numbered, the plan cannot be drawn and the documentation cannot be carried out. So it is important for a surveyor to number the pillar for reference purpose, not only for him or his client, but for other users. Pillars serve as reference, so that if any other person wants to tie his work to the existing pillar, the number has to be quoted. And surveying has 3 principles. Let me quickly mention that. The first principle in surveying is principle of working from whole to part. From whole
To
to part.
Okay.
That is, you can't just go into the land that you want to survey and start carrying out the measurement. You have to start from somewhere with known reference, with known pillar number and coordinates. From there, you do your observation, then you now come to the site. The essence is to ensure verification and to tie your work to the existing one and to make it global. That is the first principle. The second principle is the principle of providing appropriate checks. you must provide appropriate checks to ensure that your work is in tandem with the standards provided by the council. And the top principle is the principle of selecting appropriate instruments to work with.
This is 92.5 FM. This is the Impact Business Radio. The program is a property show. We are discussing about issues that relate to property ownership and land acquisition. Our guest on the program today is a pupil surveyor and a registered town planner who's been talking to us about the importance and relevance of land surveying. We realize that over time our people take increasing decisions on daily basis on acquisition of land and ownership of properties. And we realize here that the first point of call here is to have a survey of whatever land that you hope or you intend to erect a structure on. So we have been talking extensively on the relevance of land surveying to the erection and the construction and ownership of properties. How do you think the surveyor's professional work can help in reducing land disputes?
Thank you very much. Surveyors' professional work to a large extent can help to reduce the issue of land disputes, especially if people engage services of registered surveyors to carry out their survey jobs. Surveyors have integrity and we have code of conduct. So no surveyor will want to soil his name. And once a surveyor carries out a job, the plan is lodged, such plan is registered. Any subsequent plan from such land will not be considered. And once the rule is adhered to, two persons cannot have a plan, two plans on a particular property. So,
very quickly, could that first plan have been generated in error?
In error?
What I mean by that here is this. There is a vacant plot of land, and there are two of us who are seemingly laying claim to the ownership of that land. The first man who runs to a registered surveyor and who gets the services of the registered surveyor to erect or to introduce beacons and to procure what you call a record copy survey now. Does that in any way suggest here that he becomes eventually the owner of that land?
Well, thank you. Let me quickly correct this impression. The survey plan alone cannot confer ownership of property, except you go for further documents, which is in form of certificate of occupancy or deed of assignment. So it is only when you have such title that you can lay claim to the ownership of the property. Anybody can hire the service of a surveyor to help him to do the survey plan of his or his assumed property. So far, the surveyor is not a soothsayer or an oracle. He may not know whether such person is the actual owner of such property. Though the surveyor will try to make some investigation. But there is limit to the extent he can prove.
So what are the other things that the surveyor should ask at the point of an individual walking in to procure the services of the surveyor? For example, if I come to a surveyor now and I say that I own land, I would expect that the surveyor should ask me to give evidence of my ownership to that land.
Land agreement.
The land agreement. Very well.
And from the land agreement, the surveyor can generate his fee. That is his professional scale of fee, which could be based on the cost of the land.
And a percentage?
It could be, no, we have a professional scale of fee based on the size of the land and the location. The location could be prime or non-prime, or it could be general or special.
So my question again here is this. Does the surveyor do what we call due diligence? For example, I submit an agreement, a land agreement, to a surveyor. And he goes through the agreement and he sees that I bought land through a family, hypothetically, Adeosun family or Adedeji family, does the surveyor, is he expected by practice to do what we call due diligence by investigating who are these Adedeji or Adeosun family, and do they or should they actually have claim to land in this area?
Actually, that is not within the scope of his job. His job is to help you to do the survey of the land. You lay claim to the ownership of the property, and you have provided the agreement
That suggests
that suggests that you are the owner.
Okay.
So he needs not to prove further.
So his own job basically is, okay, this is this document that gives me right to
The land.
yes.
And he takes you to the land.
Yes.
And once nobody disturbs him from carrying out the survey operation, he assumes that you are the genuine.
Yeah, I want to ask a funny question, but actually realistic one. Buyer comes to you with agreement on a particular parcel of land. 6 months down the line, don't forget that as a registered surveyor, you're not most times you're not on site. You just send these artists and supporting people.
No, it is mandatory that you go there yourself.
Okay, you go there.
You have to go.
Okay, so somewhere along the line, okay, 6 months down the line, I come to you with my own agreement on the same parcel of land. That is the same surveyor, 2 different owners. I mean, what would be your take on that?
Yes, as a surveyor, you dare not consider the second applicant because you have already carried out survey work for the first person.
Okay.
Except there is a kind of agreement that the interest or ownership has been transferred to the second person.
Okay. Take for instance, he has an agreement dating 99. I have an agreement for 96, which means he's the first person to come to you, but I'm the older owner. I have the this right of ownership that my own document, that predates that more or less. So what happens? You've actually done a survey for someone who technically, because you've said that you read, there's a limitation to what you can search on, and I come to you not knowing what has transpired earlier. I mean, what do you do under such circumstance?
He has to disclose to you, to the person, to the client, the second client, what has transpired in the past.
Okay.
That somebody had earlier come to give him job on this parcel of land, and he has carried out the survey plan. So, he will not take the job from you again. He will rather refer you to the initial,
To the first person. Okay.
to reconcile.
Okay.
And if there is need to go to court, we now act as independent witness.
Okay.
And with that, we have a survey plan that we call dispute survey. So you now prepare dispute survey on the land.
How, in your opinion, do you think government can enforce the procurement of proper survey?
Government can assist in the procurement of a proper survey by way of sensitization. We have the National Orientation Agency that is into awareness campaign on so many issues. So issue of surveying and the need for procurement of valid documents by landowners should equally be entrenched in these various campaigns by National Orientation Agency. So that is one aspect. The second aspect is that government should try to reduce the cost of lodgement of plans, so that if the cost is reduced, that invariably will assist surveyors on the amount to be paid, and to an extent it will go down to assist the masses in getting their survey plan done at a reasonable price. But as at now, the amount charged by surveyors is still very reasonable.
So, we have been talking, the Vision 2010 document of the past suggested that every Nigerian will have housing available and affordable and accessible by the year 2010. 4 years to 2010, then did we only realize that it was an unrealizable dream. The dream has been shifted from 2010 now to 2020. And they say housing for all by the year 2020. This is 2016. 2020 is almost around the corner. How realizable this dream will be by the year 2020 is a question for me and you and the general public to answer. So my question to our guest here is this. How, in your own opinion, do you think surveyors can help in improving or in actualizing the dream of housing for all? Or, put in another way, we realize that there is a deficit in the housing stock. How do you think the surveyor can help in improving the housing stock as we so have it today?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. The issue of housing has to do with housing rights, which was codified on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. I have some statistics on housing needs in Nigeria. In 1990, the housing need stood at 8.4 million for high income, 7.7 million for medium income, and 7.6 for low income. But while the proposed housing need for 2020 stands at 39.9 million for high income, 33.5 for medium, and 28.5 million for low income.
So what will be the total for this is for Nigeria?
Yes, for Nigeria.
Okay.
So invariably, the total for Nigeria is about 84 million housing units.
Housing units. Okay.
That is our housing needs. And housing is very, very important. Somebody defined housing as a product and process. And another person defined it as bundle of services. Housing is very, very important, and it cannot be compromised. Housing confers a lot of titles on individual. It depicts your status and your stand in society. If you don't have house, then you are nowhere.
We discussed that earlier on this program.
Thank you.
The values that are attached to housing.
A lot of values are attached to housing.
Yes.
Now, some of the housing rights include this: security of tenure, access to basic services, affordability, habitability, accessibility, cultural appropriateness, security of tenure, and freedom from dispossession. Now, the role of surveyors. Surveyors have a lot of roles to play, especially when it comes to the issue of site and service scheme.
Good.
Site and service scheme has to do with obtaining large expanse of land, subdividing such land into smaller units, providing basic services on the land, and selling out such land to individuals at moderate prices.
Right.
So surveyors can do that to assist masses. The survey plan of such large expanse of land must have been carried out, and individual plots also carried out. So as you get the land, you get the document.
So with your background in town planning, how do you marry the role of the surveyor and the town planning roles? How do you marry them together? Are there relationships between the services of a land surveyor and a town planner in helping to improve the housing stock?
Yes, they have a they play a complementary role.
Okay.
Without surveyors, town planner will not be able to work well.
Okay.
Without town planners, surveyors cannot work properly. Now, we have a scenario whereby before you can obtain the building approval for your building, you must have carried out the survey plan, which will be attached to the building plan for approval.
Very correct.
And such survey plan has to be sent back to the ethics committee of surveyors for verification to ensure that the survey plan that you have attached to your building plan is an authentic one.
How do they verify that?
It has to be verified at the ministry.
Okay.
Through team.
Okay.
So they play a complementary role.
Okay.
Town planners carry out the approval
Okay.
of the building to ensure that the building is in conformity with what we call planning standards in terms of setback, lighting, and all other requirements. But the building must be situated on a parcel of land. So without a survey plan depicting the location of such property, there is nothing planners can
So
work
my
with.
other question to
So
you, sir.
in the area of providing and issue of providing housing or solving the problem of housing need for Nigerians, they have to work together. They can form synergy. We have Nigerian Institution of Surveyors and we have Nigerian Institution of Institute of Town Planners, NITP. The two bodies can work together. Fortunately enough, we have the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, which is the umbrella body for all professionals. So this umbrella body brings together professionals in built environment industries to work together, and they can form synergy to provide housing.
So as we go on, one very quick question for you. What suggestions do you have for the government in reducing bureaucracy in the procurement of proper title registrations on land? Because you see, our people are either not properly informed. What do you have as advice for government?
Like I said earlier, awareness is very important. Government should sensitize people on the issue of lands. Then, the issue of unnecessary delay by officials of the ministry in carrying out charting and in the documentation of title deeds should be reduced. They should go more digital in the area of land information system, LIS. Manual charting should be de-emphasized. With the head of computer, you can do your charting within minutes. So government should equip the ministry with more systems to go into land information system, that is digital aspect of surveying. With that, it will aid their operation.
Thank you very much. Would like to take this opportunity to appreciate our guest for coming on the program. Great people, this is a property show. As you very well know, we're on air between 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock every Thursdays. And basically, we talk about issues that relate to property ownership, land acquisition, and anything that relates to property on this program. Our guest today has been able to sensitize us on the relevance and the importance of land surveying. And to our people, it's another opportunity to let you know here that it is important to do things well, do things right, and do it once. Like one of our elder statesmen in the past said, whoever says that education is costly, they say ask him to try ignorance. So you may think that procuring the services of these professionals is costly, though it may be relatively costly or comparatively now. So, but it is always better for you to do it right and do it once. We remain your presenters on this program. My name is Adebayo Jediron. Co-presenting is
Achibola Muyi.